Alright, how's it going? It's that time of the month again, baby. We're updating the tier list. The most correct tier list ever. Oh no, I don't know where I was going for that. I just had to continue my phrase. Anyways, before we start, I have done a very big change here. You might have noticed if you've watched any of the other tier list videos, but I decided to remove the SS tier. Only reason why was because I was taking a screenshot of the tier list and I realized there's too many tiers. I felt like there's too many good tiers. But A is a good tier on its own. Or this was A tier, right? A, I feel like is units that are pretty acceptable and can be used and might win you matches when opponents don't expect you to win them. And then this is S tier, which is units that are very good, but you know, on a very niche way or just generally decent, you know? And having S and SS tier was a little too much. So I decided to remove SS tier in general. Let me know if you guys want me to bring it back. But I feel like this was much better aesthetically. Doesn't make the units worse by existing. Just because I removed the tier doesn't mean that, oh, now these are worse because now they're in the A tier. I kept the brackets the same. This was the brackets for the SS tier. Now they're the brackets for the new S tier. And A tier now has the brackets for what used to be the S tier. Just, again, for aesthetic purposes, I thought that this was better. Let me know if you guys want me to revert it. Maybe you found that it was best the other way. But anyways, we have 3 new units this month to rank. We also have Hakan Oslo here, but it was just because my friend James asked me to include him on the tier list, just for his own tier list. He's using my, template here, and he asked me to add Hakan Oslo. I can't rank Hakan Oslo because I don't have too much experience with him, but with them, I guess, they're 2 units. I don't have too much experience with them, so I can't rank them. They're just here for, because. We have 3 new units though, Denzo, Merlin, and Derriere. Let's start with Derriere because she released first. Derriere, I feel like I didn't make enough videos on her. Let me actually go back on my own channel here, and, I did not click videos, okay. Okay, so this is when she came out, right? I made the summoning video, I used her again, I made another video, and that was it. I feel like I made 4 videos on her. One of them being summoning video, and that was it. So I feel like I didn't really explore too much on her, but she's a pretty decent unit. The only issue is that she's a bad taunt unit. She's a taunt unit that isn't made to taunt. She does have a taunt card, of course, that only lasts for 1 turn. Now, if you want to taunt your opponent, there's a unit called Green the End that taunts for 3 turns on level 1. Much better cost value. But this unit does have the ability to remove buffs, which can be so helpful. A lot of annoying buffs exist, of course. Assault Melee, all his buffs are buffs you can remove. Drow Taunt, Melascula Revive. So Assault Melee team in general can be easily countered by Derriere. And then you have, of course, Goddess Liz Shield, Goddess Liz Ult, all can be removed. So as a taunt unit, she isn't all that great. As a taunt unit that can remove buffs, she's actually pretty decent. So I was originally gonna rank her very low, but then I realized that, and I watched some of the other peeps' videos, that they actually did pretty decent with her, and not only just on bots, but also on actual players that seemed pretty decent. So I'm actually gonna rank her on the A tier, which used to be the S tier. I feel like it does pretty good tier for her. I don't think she should be going anywhere above that. And yeah, as a taunt unit, she's good, but she is no DN. Which, by the way, good transition. There are 2 changes I want to make here. First of all, DN, pop up. DN is mad. She is... Half of my matches I play on this game, I face a DN. She's so good. So I feel like I should put her on the God tier. She is the best taunt unit in the game. There's no doubt in my mind to say that. 3 turns on level 1 is just too good. And putting down Rugal. Pierce team, just not that good these days. Decent for farming. decent for certain PvE stages, but you know, piercing is not doing all that great. And there's one unit I want to put down, but actually again I want to ask you guys what you think. I want to put down Green Merlin to S tier here. The reason for it is usability. Currently, almost no one uses Green Merlin. There are multiple reasons for it. A big reason is Green Gelfer. Green Gelfer, let's say you are using the usual Green Gelfer team, which is Green Gelfer, Goddess Liz, the one. If there's a situation where one of the units die, let's say they kill Goddess Liz. If Green Merlin pops on the field, if she was in the 4th spot as she usually is, if she pops in the field, Green Gelfer's passive stops working. Second reason, this new Merlin that just released means that if you're gonna use her, you can't use the old one. That's already a reason on its own. Third reason, having an extra ultimate hasn't been all that great since Green Gelfer. What I mean by that is, if you face another Green Gelfer, chances are, if they go first, because you're using Green Merlin to, you know, push ult, let's say you're using Green Merlin and ult food, so you start through ultimate gauge, by using one card, Green Gelfer can disrupt that and just not allow you to shoot ultimate. So, yeah, Green Merlin has been in almost no one's team on JP recently. I played quite a bit, and ever since I want to say a month ago, almost no Green Merlins, if any, really. So I want to put her down, but I want to ask you guys what you think. It's really because her passive, which is giving one ultimate gauge, was a very solid passive, but honestly has been kind of power crept. But again, I'm going to keep her the way it is right now, but I want to know what you guys think. Also on the change, I do want to put up this blue Jericho to A tier, just because I popped off with her on Ungeared the other day, and I thought that was pretty fun, using, you know, green in handy. And that's about it that I want to change, I believe. Okay, so moving on to the newest released units. Denzel, or Denzel, however you call him. The new free-to-play boy. He released in the free-to-play banner, you're guaranteed to pull one copy, and he's also in one of those missions that you get a free copy of a unit, and he is, you know, in both of these ways. You can get him to 2/6 for free. This Denzel unit is a very fun, interesting unit. He is god-forsakenly awful on PvP, but on PvE, this man can pop off. His attack hard is dog shit, don't even think about it. But this is where he belongs. This counter card is actually kind of nutty. One thing, I always think with counter cards, please, please, please give the counter card a taunt, right? But, you know, with Denzel, I feel like if they gave a taunt, he would have been actually broken tier for PvE. What he does essentially is he applies corrosion on the counter. And the thing is that on PvP, the enemy can just not attack him, right? But on PvE, they don't have that sense that I don't have to attack them. Why would I attack them? I can just do something else. I can move cards to get ultimate gauge. On PvE, the enemy just attacks. So when you have this, right, as soon as it stands for 2 turns, when attacked, inflicts corrosion damage equals 30% of max HP. If the enemy attacks 3 times, which is the usual, a boss usually attacks 3 times, if you make sure that they always attack Denzel, he applies 3 corrosions. In 1 turn, Denzel is doing 90% of their HP. Now, there are, of course, bosses that cannot be debuffed at all. If that's the case, then unlucky. If they are completely immune to debuffs, then he's useless. But on bosses that you can, it's a phenomenal effect. But with any new PvE broken unit that releases, I'm sure next Tower of Trials, they're gonna make the boss completely immune to debuffs. One thing is that on Tower, or something like in general like that, bosses aren't really immune to everything. You can like test that by using Kyo. Kyo basically always has the ignite effect proccing on the enemies, even on the latest bosses, because they aren't immune to everything, but they could just make the bosses immune to everything, right? So right now I really want to try Denzel on Tower, on the new Tower of Trials, and see how it will go. But if it works, This is the most broken card ever for PvE, because doesn't matter how much HP they have, as long as you can debuff them, they are just screwed. So I'm gonna give Denzo the same tier I gave Derriere, only because PvE can be very tricky with how this will go. If the next few difficult bosses just can't be debuffed at all, then he is absolutely useless, bottom tier, god awful. But if they can, then he's a god. So it really depends on the game. It depends not on him, but the boss itself. We'll see. Next tower, I'm gonna use him, and we're gonna try to make it work. But again, it really depends on how they're gonna proceed with this. On Krim, if you saw my video yesterday, not many people cared, but it was insane. Krim attacked him 3 times, and he applied 3 corrosions, and Krim just died. So that was crazy. That was really fun. So if there's a boss like that on tower that just can be debuffed, that's it. It's done. It's done. Now for the main attraction of the video, Merlin. And I think I'm gonna give myself a second to breathe before I continue recording. Alright, I took a nice old shower break, watching the Attack on Titan episode, pretty nice. Now let's talk about Merlin. So, she's good. It's an interesting release, because with festivals, we kind of we have a pretty high expectation that every single new festival will be game-breaking, and they will completely overthrow the new meta. But I feel like this Merlin isn't exactly supposed to do that. She's a very good unit, she just isn't the one Escanor. Or, I think, the most revolutionary meta unit, as much as I hate her, is Goddess Liz. Goddess Liz, ever since she came out, has not been off meta. That's been, the longest lasting unit so far, because Lost Fane is not quite meta anymore, at least not in the front. The King is kind of a joke, right? But the one been off meta, but with this new Merlin kind of challenging him, it's created a new yin and yang, where you use Merlin and you have a really good shot at winning against Escanor teams. Now, you don't win against all of them, especially if you get out-CC'd. If you get out-CC'd by an Escanor team, you can be damn sure, if you're not using Goddess Liz, Escanor can kill Merlin. But, look at what she does. Her passive is that during the enemy's turn, each enemy's kill cannot deal more than 40% of the hero's max HP. Meaning, at 4 HP, the enemy will take at least 3 hits to kill you. That's not saying, if they do less than, 30% per hit or something. The one will hit more than 40, but of course it will cap at 40 every single time he hits, because the one's the one. A good the one, I might add. So, how does this unit stand? In the meta currently, no one has found the perfect team for her. I tried many teams. She works quite well, but she gets pretty limited by her type, race, whatever, because she cannot be paired up with Green Gopher. And as much as, I would love to say, oh, Red Gopher is just as good, Green Gopher really makes crit units stupid. And she's a crit unit, so not being able to be paired up with Green Gopher is a big downside. Regardless, she did work quite fine when I played with her. Facing her, when I was using Merlin myself, I found it pretty easy to counter other Merlins. Most people that I was facing probably just didn't know how to use her properly. When I was not using Merlin, when I tried to use Sariel and try to use the one, easy to counter as well. But again, it could be the fact that people still don't know exactly how to use her. In a general sense, just abusing the fact that she can apply Infect, which disables enemies' lifesteal, is very good. But I like to call her a worse Sariel, because she has the same card as Sariel, and she also has an AoE that does damage. But Sariel is just so much better at doing her job. Sariel just does so much more damage. Now, she has a second part of her passive that increases attack roll stats by 1% per 4% of HP, of remaining HP. At max HP, you can see her hitting pretty hard. She hits almost as hard as the one at max HP. But when you have her at like half or low HP, you can tell that she's hitting very not so good. That's a problem. that became a problem a lot for me. She is good, but worse than the one, which again will create the expectation that every single festival is going to have to be meta breaking, when necessarily they don't have to. If they're going to be releasing so many festivals, not every festival has to be meta breaking, and I don't think that's a bad thing that this unit is not meta breaking and does not create a new meta like the one did. Assault Melee is kind of the same thing. He released, he is very good, he can be used in PvP, but he wasn't meta breaking. I think Merlin follows suit. I think Merlin is kind of like Assault Melee. Now, Assault Melee has his own problem because he needs better units to pair up with, and in the future he actually might become the new meta, which everyone's gonna use. Who knows? This Merlin, for now, we don't know if she has a meta team that will be the team that everyone's gonna be running, but for now, if you have the one, you can very easily counter Merlin teams. Goddess Liz cucks her quite heavily. I had like a few matches where all they did really was just stun Merlin non-stop, and there wasn't much I could do. Because the thing is, the one is just so broken, because at third turn he becomes invincible to debuffs. So no stun for him. And then his ultimate is a double one-shot. It's just... she's not the one, and I think that's something that limits her when you think about her, but that's not something that's necessarily bad for her. When you think of a festival, you think of the one, and you think too highly of festivals. When this unit, I would say, is more of a Sauriel. She's a very good unit, but she just isn't the one, is what I'm trying to say. So that's why I am actually gonna put her in the second highest tier. She isn't broken. At least not yet. People haven't found any team that is a broken team for her. She is, I feel like, a little worse than Sauriel. Worse enough that I'm gonna have to put her here. There's the fact that you can't pair her up too well with Gringother, and she needs that revive. Because she doesn't tank that great. She just doesn't. 40% resistance is okay. She has actually pretty decent core resistance. I'm sorry, it's 65. And after you super awaken her, it becomes pretty high. But I don't know. I feel like she just dies too fast if you don't have Goddess Liz. If you face the one, again, had this happen to me. Face the one, they attack you 3 times, and she is dead. So, yeah, I'm gonna put her here. If it happens that someone finds a stupid broken team that cannot be beaten with her, I guess I'll have to move her up. But for now, she sits good in the tier over here. And that's why actually I was surprised most people agreed. Yeah, should be in God tier. I was expecting most people to actually vote SS tier because a lot of people like really hate this unit. She's a good unit. Just when you compare her to releases that, you know, just happen, like the one, it's like, yeah, the one had to be special. The one is probably the hypest character in 7 Deadly Sins. So maybe some people like Assault Melee better. I don't know. I like the one better. But yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Merlin's good. I think that her banner makes her even worse than she actually is. The fact that they made her banner just so bad value also just gives bad perception on the unit, and I think that she is a skip. Personally, just because of her banner, honestly. And we're gonna have a new Holy War Festival coming soon, which could be meta breaking, so we'll see. Thank you guys for watching, and that's it for now.